I cannot begin to tell you how frustrated I am at this piece of fabric. Hello friends and welcome back. So recently I thrifted, like a year ago. I thrifted this pink coat, and when I bought it I knew that someone had handmade it because it has like all the telltale signs that someone sewed it by hand and cut it out, and it was just not manufactured, and that's one of the reasons why I liked it. The other reason why I liked it is because it was very pink. And as soon as I saw it and saw the price tag and it was like $3, I knew I wanted to add a whole bunch of fur onto it just to make it extra over the top, you know, just something that like you can't just buy. And this is that video. In this house we craft in pajamas. Let's get to it. Okay, so here we have the coat. It's handmade and I thrifted it a couple of years ago. I originally was thinking I was gonna put fur on the collar, but the collar is so unique. I don't know if I'd really be able to do it justice. So I'm gonna start with the sleeves and the hem and just kind of see where that goes from here. And before we completely dive into this project, check out this beautiful aesthetic shot of the pink fur that I'll be adding onto the coat. Isn't this nice? Alright, first thing I did was measure the circumference of the cuff of the sleeve. And then I got a measurement for how long I wanted to make this extension of the sleeve. The coat is very handmade, and I think it was either made for someone with much shorter arms than I have, or it was made for someone who wanted that particular length of sleeve. I, however, want my sleeves to be a little bit longer, and that's why I will be adding this chunk of fur onto the edge of the cuff to extend it out a little bit longer. Once I cut out both of those rectangles, I folded them in half and then stitched them together. I kind of have a bad habit of sewing over those pins. You can do that, but just be real careful. And then I pulled that sleeve inside the tube of furry fabric that I just made and made sure that everything fit and worked and looked okay. I mean, so far so good. And then I just stitched that right on. Do you see how careful I'm being with those pins this time around, making sure to take them all out before I sew over them? And then I just fold that tube in half again and then like stitch it closed. That way the cuff is a little bit extended and, you know, quite a bit longer actually. Which is great because I have albatross arms and literally no sleeve on any coat or shirt is ever long enough. I just successfully extended this above the wrist length to well below the wrist, in a good way. And then I moved on to the bottom hem of the coat. I will openly admit that this is the least fancy, least well done part of this coat. I'm a real tall gal and I wanted this coat to be real long. And in doing so, I ended up just sewing a giant rectangle onto the bottom of the skirt and not lining it, not folding it over in any way whatsoever to maintain that length. Maybe one day I'll get around to lining that portion of the coat, but for now it's just fine. The real test of my patience and abilities came when I decided I was going to put fur on the lapels. I made this terrible pattern out of some leftover fabric and just went for it. Like I didn't even think about what I was doing. I just started cutting the shape. I just made the dumbest mistake twice. I've cut this piece out 3 times now without flipping the pattern over. So I have a left side and a right side. So I have 3 right sides. Why? And now I don't have enough fabric to do what I wanted to do. So I'm like, do I go get more fabric or do I figure it out and make it work? Alright. I went and got more fabric. I cannot begin to tell you how frustrated I am at this piece of fabric. I lizard brain accidentally cut the same piece out identically 3 times. I only need 1 of them. So now I went to the store, got more fabric. She didn't give me the discount price, which it should have been discounted, and I'm frustrated about that. But now I have 2 more yards of fur, and I'm gonna try again to cut this out. This is my nightmare. I just get frustrated when things don't work out perfectly the exact moment I need them to, and I'm like, should I quit? No, bestie, we're not quitting now, we're not quitting tomorrow, we're not quitting ever, we will continue to try, but man, is it satisfying to do it right the first time. Not just right, perfect. I like to do it perfect the first time. I need therapy. This is video proof and confirmation that I am not cutting out this exact same piece again. I'm cutting out the mirror of it. Okay, so furry side up, furry side down, wrong sides together. This should be a mirrored piece of this already cut out piece, right? Please let me be right. I was right. It only cost me like 6 hours worth of work, cutting it out 4 times, and about $15 in materials. But I am recording this essentially from the future. I know what this ends up looking like, and it is worth it. So now that I have my front and back halves cut and pinned together, it is time to sew it. See what I'm doing here? Did you see that? Oh, there it goes. And that's why you shouldn't sew over your pins, but that doesn't stop me. I just keep doing it. I think to myself, I'll just go a little bit slower. It's probably fine. Why am I like this? Once I sewed the left and right sides together, I pinned the front and back pieces together and stitched all the way around that, leaving a small opening at the nape of the neck so that I can flip it all inside out. Well, right side in. And then because this is such a bulky piece, I decided to just hand sew it onto the lapels of the coat. And then I decided to make one of those furry Russian-looking hats out of the leftover pink fur. This process is one of the easiest and most rewarding little processes of all sewing of all time. It's literally just the circumference of your head and then a corresponding circle, and then you just stitch those all together, and then you make one of the same thingies out of like a different lining material, and here I am cutting that out. And then once you've constructed both of your little hats, you just stitch them together and then flip the whole thing inside out. It's really, really simple, but maybe I didn't explain it very well, and that's on me. I'm also not going to go back and re-explain it, because I am well past the point of this video potentially being a tutorial. Turns out this whole video is really more of an opportunity for you to suffer with me. But you're in luck because it's reveal time! Out of 10 for the coat, but those boots are going straight in the incinerator when I get home. I actually like this coat. Do I necessarily see myself wearing it day to day? No. No, I do not, especially not with like the hat and the pink wig and everything, but I really wanted to lean into that hyper-feminism BarbieCore color pop trend that is happening right now that I have innately wanted my entire life. I feel like a lot of us grew up with this mindset of if you are into frilly, girly, pink things, then that makes you somehow less than, as opposed to if you were into like darker, moodier, grungier, more like masculine colors. I am really, really looking forward to this trend that I've been seeing of hyperfeminism in clothing, because I just think it's a lot of fun. And if you had shown this to me when I was a little child, I would have loved it. And if you'd shown it to me when I was like a teenager, I would have secretly loved it, but then told everyone around me that like, oh no, I would never wear that. That's ugly and stupid, but like inside I would want it so bad. And now I finally have it, even though it is a little ridiculous and it's definitely not an everyday wear sort of thing. I like it, and I like that I made it, and I mean, it had its struggles. I had my struggles. Getting this portion done, not necessarily this portion, but this side of it was a nightmare, and it took me like 6 hours. It should have taken 20 minutes. Planning, patterning. If you enjoyed this content, please feel free to like and subscribe. New videos are on their way soon, and in this house we craft in pajamas. Why were there so many airplanes? Why were they so loud? They were flying right above my house.